Alright guys, welcome to the live. I'm just gonna get my music sorted. So what we're gonna do today, it's eclipse season, so where is this? There we go, got my 80s. Okay. Whew. Welcome to the live, guys. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna be reading Identity Crisis. Whew. We're gonna do a little bit of Zatanna and some like morality behind magic and magic powers, right? Let's see if I can bring this down just a bit. That's better. Okay. I sometimes get into trouble when it comes to copyright. So here's gonna be the read. Let me put on my gloves and we can get started. So welcome to the live, my friends. Cotton Bitch, hello. Captain Crack, is that it? Robotoke, Salty, hello. Scott Summers, Driver, hello, welcome. So we're gonna do a specific read tonight. Tomorrow Jean Grey is actually gonna Gina sing stars for a moment. Jean Grey is going to be back tomorrow for a very special neurolinguistic astrology live. We're going to talk about gene keys in a bit more depth. Oh, hello, Pokey. Hello, Nathan. Imagine seeing you here. Okay, so we are going to do something really special today. I haven't done a true comic book read, like a late night read in quite a while, right? I did Batgirl not too long ago, but I hadn't actually been great with my scheduling, so I apologize. So, going forward, the reason why I decided to to do Zatanna today. Oh, that was a crazy. Did you guys see that? Wow. Okay, let me just make sure. Where did I just put those comic books down? Okay, here. So I was reading this ahead of time, which is A World Without a Justice League, which follows the events of this identity crisis. So the reason I am Zatanna tonight is because we're going to talk a little bit about morality. Well, that's why hopefully we can make some miracles happen, Pokey. I think the world is shifting, generally speaking. As I said earlier on the Astro show, with Supergirl, there's an eclipse, right? A Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. And so a lot of subconscious feelings, things that sit underneath the surface coming to the top. So when it comes to having, new careers, new jobs, or shifting gears when it comes to it. Oh, 2 months has been quite a while. Oh no. Well, let's put some abundance out there for you, Pokey. You're not this doesn't help your situation, but you're not alone in your situation. I've had quite a few people in Toronto tell me, like, over the summer, for example, it's been tough for, new students to get jobs. I don't know how it was for you guys when you first graduated from university. Like, I graduated with like a psychology and English degree. So when my first job actually out of university was bartending and personal training while I got a postgraduate. I first did broadcast journalism because I wanted to be April O'Neil, and then I did more corporate communications. And then from corporate communications, I worked in, ironically, digital because my dad's in comp sci, my sister is a developer, so I ended up being a digital project manager for quite a few years. And I don't think I used my degree really. I'm using it now, right? Because when we talk about comic books, I look at it from the lens that I looked at it when we're looking at like a work of art. So hey Kenton, hello. Yeah, it's a lot of people have been struggling. I mean, even here in Toronto. So when I first moved out to Toronto in about 2007, 2008, I got a job as a go-go dancer like that weekend. I also booked like a couple modeling gigs, and I got like a few bartending jobs like in the first weekend. I really don't think that's the same landscape now for anyone who like is new to the big city. Like I had like the whole big city lights like experience, and I got to like, you know, I got to do a bunch of cool stuff. I got to like go dance for like David Guetta and at government here, which is not really around anymore. And I got to basically get paid $300 a night for 3 20-minute sets. So like I just don't think that those opportunities are available anymore, and that is just true across the board. I feel like anything from like bartending gigs, like my girlfriend who's a teacher just trying to find a job. So um, let's see here. Oh, thank you, John. Yes, fake everything but looking for a real man. Oh wow, weird, weird, weird. I've been married for 10 years, so I'm already there. So you know what, you know you're doing something right when you have haters, right? It you just, if you are liked by everyone, then you are part of the mob. So you gotta just do what you gotta do, no matter what. I will say this though, when I first started reading comic books live to you guys, um, I've learned a lot from you guys too about a lot of characters. I've learned a lot about, I've gone hunting for certain stories based on some of the things that you guys have told me. That being said, in the beginning, reading comic books live is not as easy as it looks. Give it a try. The way comic books read, sometimes they're all in caps. And so I struggled a little bit in the beginning, and my cosplay wasn't quite there. And so, of course, I got people being like, you're such a poser. You don't actually like these things. And I'm like, you know, you are welcome to love what you love, full stop. Like, for example, I was watching some scenes from Young Justice with Nightwing and Superboy and Miss Martian, and just scenes from that before joining. And some people had left some comments being like, oh, this season was really melancholy and dark. And someone else was like, well, comics are supposed to be fun. And someone else had a comment being like, well, no, comics are supposed to be whatever you want them to be. And I think that's a great way to start this conversation, because we're going to talk about, oh my gosh, I can't even touch the screen this way. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, I've been working on some magic tricks, like pulling a rabbit out of my hat, as well as opening portals and stuff. And I'll put some good spells out to you guys tonight, because we do have a Pisces full moon, which is known as a very psychic moon. Which is why I'm Zatanna tonight, because we're going to talk a little bit about this story right here, Identity Crisis. It's the main one I wanted to read, and that's why I'm not going to be battling today. So I've also decided that I'm going to keep my battles to Tuesdays and Thursdays, you guys. So yeah, so let's keep going. I've read comics that made me tear up. Oh, that I just got a full body tingle from that, you know, because I was telling people, when it comes to superpowers, right? If we're going to be the first generation that's going to be expressing it here, which I don't think we are the first, I think we have a very, very ancient, magical, galactic past that we've forgotten about. But if we're going to express it for the first time, there's no manual on it, right? And so if you think about like censorship and anything that's happened in years like past, you know, like they used to burn witches and stuff, right? So like redheads, like beware redheads, right? Because like, oh my gosh, or you're left-handed, you might be a witch. And so like these types of things have happened in our past, right? Where we've basically become scared of power. Now, there's a reason for this too, right? Because when I visited Vancouver, oh my gosh, that seems like a lifetime ago now. My sister, who's a big comic book nerd as well, John, so we share a love of stories. Now, my sister, unlike myself, she's a DC purist. She only reads DC comic books. And, you know, I am not I do not discriminate between DC and Marvel. I've found in my older age, in my more mature age, I've gravitated toward like revisiting more of the DC comics. When I was a teenager, I read a lot more Avengers, X-Men, all of that kind of stuff. And it's been really cool to see, the Marvel Cinematic Universe take off. I really enjoyed Captain America becoming like live action. I thought that they did a lot of good work in terms of bringing certain characters to life. I don't know if you guys have a favorite live action character, like someone who you think really did a good job of bringing a character from the comic book into life. I think Chris Evans as Captain America was a beautiful casting, and he's one of those things where like I have a crush on Captain America, but I don't necessarily have a crush on Chris Evans. I've always loved Loki. Oh, Loki's a good one. He's cute too, right? That whole like roguish bad boy kind of situation. Let's see here. Oh, and thank you for sharing, Timmy, and welcome to the live. We're going to be reading Identity Crisis. So, hold on before I start. Where did I put the other one? Because I'm gonna read you excerpts from 2 comic books tonight. I was originally only going to do Identity Crisis, but I'm going to talk about this as well. So, way back, we're going to have my friend Aria on this show again soon. We did a Zatanna and Zatanna show. You may have caught it or not. If not, I'm going to have a replay probably with this show as well. And in it, I think in one of the animated shows, they showed where Zatanna basically wiped Batman's mind, or rather his memory. They take his memories. Now, this is a moral conundrum because memory, let's talk about memory a bit. There is a wonderful Greek story, a myth, right? So if you're familiar with the Greek myth of Zeus is a known womanizer. But if we look at it a little bit deeper than that, right? And what Zeus represents, Zeus in the astrological chart represents Jupiter, the king of the gods. In your astro, your Jupiter placement, look it up. It tells you a little bit about where you can have luckiness or benevolence in your chart. Now, Marvel zombies are coming. I saw that. Oh, and thank you, John, again for saying Zatanna. I really appreciate that. So recommendation, guys, watch Justice League Dark. So good. I love how they did Constantine. I love how they, the interactions between like Batman and Zatanna are quite nice. Hold on, let me just. Oh, I don't know if my music's actually playing. I think you can hear the city too. Hold on. There's so. Hey, Ruben the Hedgehog. Are you related to Sonic? Okay. I was saying too also that my Wolfie is not an actual you say Sonic the Hedgehog, but he's not actually a hedgehog, he's an alien, right? So Wolfie is like a dog, but he's not actually a dog, he's an alien too. Just like Crypto, right? And I also watched this thing on James Gunn and his dog that they used to model Crypto after in the movie, and he wasn't even white. I'm like, did you know I have the real Crypto right here, right now? Okay, so I just popped in a flash goal. Thanks, Timmy. Woohoo! Let's do it. So let's start. We're gonna jump right into it, like a dream. Actually, wait. I need a drink first before I start. Quick sip of beverage. This mug is thebomb.com. Also a gift from my sister. So as I said, me and my sister, big comic book nerds. But I did read Marvel when I first started reading comics. Right? The best. Because R2-D2 is like legit the best, right? He's like the common element. If R2-D2 was like, we can have a fun conversation about AIs and robots and all that kind of stuff another time when I'm Cortana, because you know, with all of the AI, and we talk about drawing and art being threatened by it. It's like this emergence of like technology and creativity and like how we wield it, kind of like magic, like how we are able to wield it responsibly. Thought I love Umbrella Academy, although I haven't watched all. I've only seen clips. I do recommend you guys watch The Magicians, though. That show is full of good, juicy bits. It's kind of like X-Men, but with magicians kind of thing. Final season, we don't talk about. You know, it sucks how, like, it's hard to end a show, though, you guys, you know? It's hard to, like, for example, House. I used to love, remember the show House, with Hugh Laurie. I would so cast Hugh Laurie in my book as, like, an alchemical wizard who's kind of grumpy all the time. He doesn't really want to mentor anybody, but he secretly does have a heart. Started so strong. Oh, I need to watch it. Which other magicians are you talking about other than the sci-fi? Yes, the sci-fi version is the one I'm talking about, Shadow Walker 51. Oh, is there? I didn't know there was one on Netflix. So I actually had a comic book that was based on The Magicians, because The Magicians, the show on Sci-Fi, is actually based on a book, right? And if you watch that show, Fillardy, or whatever the place, it's basically Narnia, if you think about it, right? And it's this idea. Reuben the Hedgehog, is Hazeltine, so could pizza... Are you asking if it's okay to put pizza on chicken nuggets, or for you to put chicken nuggets on pizza? Because I think both ways are valid, depending on how you want to do it. All right, guys, this is Identity Crisis. So I'm not going to read this full on because this is a heavy read. It's eclipse season right now. I didn't even tell you guys my story about Zeus. I went off on a tangent. I think Hawaiians may disagree with you, Pokey, right? The Hawaiian ham pizza. I got here late but need to sleep. Oh, thanks, John. I'm going to have a repost of this read in full on my YouTube very soon. So the paywall reads, you'll know about those ahead of time. So yeah, because I've realized I don't really have a right to put certain reads behind a paywall, right? Because these are not my stories. I'm just retelling them to you guys as a character in them, right? So Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada. Stewie's. Really? Where? Where in Canada? That's crazy. It's funny too, because like my hubby, he loves anchovies, and so we put anchovies on pizza the other day, and where I was like April O'Neil, and I'm like, you know what? The turtles wouldn't approve of this message. But it's so funny. Thanks for the fun fact, you guys. So, Identity Crisis. I'm going to flip to the point in here. Let's see here. Actually, Joss Whedon does the intro. So this is a really dark comic book. And so I should have done this ahead of time, but I will figure this out. One moment. All the witchcraft. I read 2 comics. Did you got which ones? Which ones? Was it your Oh, my sister got this comic book, which was Wolverine versus Predator. That'd be pretty cool. I am not the inventor of pineapple on pizza. I don't own that, Poke. Chatham Kent, 1962. I'm gonna prove that. I don't know why it censored that. I feel like that might be some intel then, Stewie's. Okay. Oh, thank you, Prime One Collector. I love Zatanna as well. Who doesn't? She's so cool in all of the animated versions of her. Like, so cool. So, I'm going to read you guys. I'm going to take off my gloves for a second just so I can go through this a little bit faster. Thor and Mr. Roger. No, but maybe we should add it to the list of reads to do together, guys. So, Identity Crisis in the DC universe. Oh my gosh. In the DC universe. Oh my gosh, I'm starting my event right on time, you guys. X-Men Homecoming and Phoenix. Nice choices, Gambit. We're gonna bring back Phoenix, and tomorrow, Jean Grey is gonna be hosting Gene Keys and Timelines, because Rachel Summers actually teaches the ethics of time travel at Professor X's School of Gifted Youngsters, right? So that school, how it's like hidden in the forest somewhere, is similar to how the Magicians is as well. Like you have different types of people who do magic, right? Like you have like nature magic people, light magic people, travelers, Quentin who has like, I can find small objects. Like I have this theory that there's an island of lost things. You know, like that one sock you can't find in like the dryer, or like your keys, or like one of Wolfie's balls one time literally disappeared into nowhere. And it's just gone into the portal. So, on the island of lost things. So, I'm going to write a little bit about that too. So, let's get into Identity Crisis. In here, I'm just going to go to where Zatanna. Now, this is a very dark comic book where it kind of talks about how the minute that you become a superhero, you put a target on your loved ones' backs. And that is why you create an alter ego, you create a mask, not just to protect yourself, but to protect your loved ones, right? It's also why Oracle, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, when she loses the use of her legs and she becomes Oracle, she actually fakes her death because she doesn't want people to find out her true identity, because as Oracle, she's giving intel to like the whole network of like superheroes in the DC universe at that time. And so to protect, right? So we think about this identity. And so when it comes to Batman, Batman has a very strong alter ego, right? And I think in one of the movies, right, it's like the question of like, well, who's the real guy? Is it Bruce Wayne or is it Batman? And where does Bruce Wayne end and where does Batman begin? Or is it all the same, right? Especially when it also comes to certain mantles like Batgirl, like Batman, where Nightwing, for example, Dick Grayson actually is the Batman for a time, and he struggles with it, right? It's a challenge for him to be the kind of Batman that Bruce Wayne was, and he wants to live up to that. So that's why he becomes Nightwing, and he becomes his own hero. What do they say that Nightwing has Kryptonian level good looks. I don't know if that's a thing. Like, can you have a whole planet of good looking people? All right, so let me just read the introduction by Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon, if you're not familiar, is the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly, which I think we have to thank Nathan. I always just think of Nathan Fillion when I think of Firefly. Unfortunately, Joss Whedon has fallen under this whole thing of like a lot of like creepy people like Neil Gaiman, who like weird creepy allegations of like Me Too and stuff. Now, when I was in English literature, we had this whole class about analysis, like how you would go about analyzing any kind of work, right? And I'm going to open this up to you guys to think about as well, because there's no right or wrong answer. But when it comes to a work, like I've never actually read anything by Brad Meltzer, who wrote this, but he's apparently a New York Times best-selling author, right? So think about like a lot of these are just comic books, frivolous comic books, but the authors and the amount of work and creativity that has gone behind these characters and these stories and these worlds is insurmountable. It's of the level of classics, in my opinion, of what the Greeks and Romans used to watch in the Colosseum, and right, because performance art, all of that is something sacred because it speaks to something on a subconscious level, right? We have been told to think of these things as just being like, oh, that's silly, that's for kids. Kids have a very good understanding of what is, right? We learn how to stop playing, right? We learn how to stop imagining. We learn how to stop make-believing. It's when we realize that, oh, even though I'm now an adult and I have these practical things to do, You know, just like, what would it really take to be a superhero? And comic books do this great way of doing an experiment, right? Because once it's already happened in your head, once a thought has already happened and it catches, it's already done, right? Maybe not in this world, but somewhere. So I'm going to read you the foreword, the introduction, just to give you guys a sense of it if you're not familiar with identity crisis. And in DC, I think he'll explain it a little bit. Okay. The nature of epiphany is that it changes the universe without moving a hair. Everything before you is cast in a new light, a light so revealing it sometimes hurts. So it is with great mainstream comic book writing, particularly the two titans, DC, and that other one, are a universe, one that is established and often unfathomable as the real one. A great novel or film might take you to a new world, but books like Identity Crisis have a much more complex criterion. They have to make you feel like you're seeing something new without destroying the familiar. Not killing soups, not revealing that everything since 1972 was all just a dream, just shining that light and showing us what we should have been seeing all along, which is humanity. Brad Meltzer and Rags Morales are the students of humanity, the ones who did this book. You will see heroes streamlined and dynamic, but Rags' pencils always keeps them human, lived in. It's a style that evolves the artists of the 40s as well as it does the modern, which is perfect for a book built to light up the whole history of the DC universe. You will read epic battles and gripping mysteries, but Brad Meltzer does much more than move chess pieces around with brilliant precision, which is in itself really hard for the rest of us. He humanizes. He sees the smallest quirks, the darkest passions, the matter-of-fact absurdity that is inevitably the life of a superhero person. You start at the beginning. Even if you're a lifelong fan of DC, it's unlikely that Elongated Man is your favorite ever character. But halfway into issue 1, he was certainly mine. Brad and Rags paint a portrait of a man and a marriage that is so unassumingly lovely, it's unbearable to think anything bad might happen to either. And so inevitable that it will. What follows is a story so genuinely tragic it does change the universe, at least for a few characters. But what makes this book great, and this is a great book, in case I wasn't being clear, is that the tragedy is moved to the past, rooted in the past, in the existing structure of the DC universe. In the terrible actions of great heroes, actions they not only might have taken, but inevitably would have, must have. The fact was sitting there, secret and silent, until in that blinding moment of epiphany, it was revealed. Not by me, though. You have to read the book to find out. And even if you know what happens, you have to live through it. That's the feeling this book gives you, of living with these people. Through their pain, their triumph, their madness. And did I mention all of the pain? You will come through it with a new understanding of the world before you. You will see. Bella, I am Zatanna, and we are reading Identity Crisis, and we're going to read the part where Zatanna does something quite terrible, but it's not quite just for her, like just because she decides to. Hold on, let me see if I can get there, because it's about Batman and Zatanna. Let me jump to it. I was reading this, and some parts of this are just really... Actually, I'm going to read this part because it has to do with Hal Jordan and Green Arrow. Okay, let's just start. Okay. The best thing we can do right now is stay quiet and hope they find the imbecile who started this mess. So, we're in Central City. Captain Boomerang, the calculator, and the calculator. Friends. So the calculator is a known enemy for Oracle. I've read about the calculator multiple times. He gets really mad that Barbara is smarter than him. Any word yet? No, Hold on, Digger. Let me take this call. Fiddler? Yeah, I've heard of you. Right now? Sure, I can do it. It'll cost you $3,000, though. Yeah, well, that's because I raised my prices. It's been a busy week, you know? All right, I understand. If you need me, you have the number. Sorry we couldn't do business. Click. Fiddler's cheap. Everyone's cheap. Anything yet? He'll be here any minute. He gets off work at midnight. Why so late? He works in a movie theater. Those are the hours. Here he comes. Don't let him walk by this time. Speak to him. Crap-ola. You're Captain Boomerang, aren't you? Hola, fella. Do you have a Fantastic Four favorite member? Are you going to be cosplaying as them? I would love, Fantastic Four is the first family of Marvel, and tomorrow I'll be Jean, so we can talk a little bit about the fabric of the Marvel Universe a bit. Johnny, of course. Who doesn't love Johnny? And fun, like, I also love how Deadpool and Wolverine brought up the fact that Chris Evans is also, like, you know, he got to hold that mantle of Human Torch and Captain America. Kind of fun. Okay. So now we're back in Gotham. All you need is the right teacher. Gotham City, the cave. People think it's an obsession, a compulsion, as if there were an irresistible impulse to act. It's not the squad, Alfred. Pardon me? It's never been like that. I chose this life. I know what I'm doing. And on any given day, I could stop doing it. Today, however, is not that day. And tomorrow won't be either. Mr. Kent called, sir, about Dibney and Loring cases. He said they were turning their attentions to the members of the Suicide Squad. Oh, hold on. It's not the squad, Alfred. Pardon? The squad doesn't benefit. There is no game. I really love how this is really illustrated. It's got that whole, like, gritty realism. Some of the newer comic books tend to have this more, like, digital feel to them. I really like it when it's more illustrated. It's the first rule of solving a crime. If you want to know who did it, you need to find out who benefits. Great tip, Batman, teaching us, right? Find out who benefits, and that's how you know who did it. That's why he's like, it's not the Suicide Squad, because they don't benefit from the crime. So why would they do it? So if you want to know who did it, you need to find out who benefits. Who benefits? It's good to have you back. Who benefits? This is Noah. Oh, hey, Fiddler. No, of course I'm still available. 3,000 sound okay? Glad to hear it. No apologies necessary. That's what I'm here for. Just tell me what you need. Who benefits? So I'm going to skip a little bit here. I want to go to that conversation. Here we go. We're going to have a conversation between Green Arrow and Green Lantern, Ollie and Hal Jordan. I would love to do this in real life. Oliver Queen and Black Canary as well. One of my favorite superhero couples. Okay. Ollie and Hal, best friends. How come I never got that movie? I hate cemeteries, and I especially hate this cemetery. But if you want to get in touch with a dead person, there's no better way than by standing on his grave. So this is when Hal Jordan is the Scepter. And Scepter was in Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? And was not Hal Jordan. So it's kind of cool. Let me show you. Right, so Green Arrow goes to a cemetery, stands on Hal Jordan's grave, and basically invokes him, I guess. Right? Oh, I love Ollie and Canary, right? They're very cute. Oh, yes. Zatanna. Justice League Dark, baby. So all of you guys out there who guard the night, and actually, Zatanna was born right near Arkham Asylum. It's funny. Ollie and Batman also too have a fun, not fun, but they do fight each other dynamic. So we got it. So if you want to get in touch with a dead person, there's no better way than by standing on his grave. And just make sure there's no glare. And then so he shows up. He's like, "What do you want, Oliver?" "Oh, he's already riled up. And I'm only going to make it worse. There are easier ways to contact me, you know, than standing on my grave." Let's see here. Have you read the Catwoman issue where Zatanna kicks a guy in the junk? Not that one. I would love that, though. Zatanna's such a badass, too. I mean, she can literally, like, melt reality with, like, her words if she wanted to, right? She's also a superhero's daughter. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so Zatanna, it's funny, in the last comic book, you can actually get the full reading on my YouTube, but I read a title card comic book of Zatanna, and in it she talks about when she was a child, her very first spell was saying gelato backwards when she was a kid, and like big scoops of gelato fell from the sky. Can you imagine if you're like, you have like a little girl who's like magically inclined, you know? I feel like that's, you know, some of you guys are that, right? If you just forget that, because Zatanna, the way she casts spells is to speak backwards, right? Now, it's funny, how I came upon Zatanna is actually not through DC first. I came to Zatanna when I was doing research on the Ninja Turtles. You want to know why? Because Zatanna is the great-great-great-granddaughter of Leonardo da Vinci. That's how her origin story goes. So she has this notebook. Yeah, her dad. Yes, you're right. Zatara. But also her mother, Sindel, I think that's how you say her name. She's Homo Magi. So she's Atlantis itself, the way it's described in many universes, has elemental magic qualities. We actually talk about it in the other JLA. So let me just keep going with this, because Ollie and Hal have a great, like, Hal's the scepter here. I didn't even know that was the case. The kick as well. I need to stretch first though, and it's late. Maybe tomorrow. I still actually, is Ninja Turtles DC? If it was, I guess so, right? Because they do crossovers between Gotham. Yeah, and I have read, like, Batgirl and April together. So you are correct, Pokey. Still the same universe in some sort of way. True. Okay, yeah. It's Marvel with Daredevil. Wait, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, it's kind of like one of those things like Conan or, because Conan, I think, is Marvel. But anyways, like, the different distribution houses and their ownership of like certain stories has been always an interesting thing to me, right? It's meta. All right, let's keep going. I just wanted to give you guys that fun fact about how Zatanna, my great-great-great-grandfather, is Leonardo da Vinci, and the Ninja Turtles are all named after Renaissance artists, right? And the concept of Renaissance is being, you know, proficient in more than one skill set as it comes to the arts, right? So not only are you a singer, you know, like me and my friends growing up, we were obsessed with being triple threats, which is you could sing, dance, and act, because that was like, to be able to sing and do musical theater and do it all live was like something special. Even for me, I love live action theater. It's like the best thing, and that's why I love Zatanna too, because she is not only like a superhero, she's actually a performance artist too, right? She has this scene with Batman where he's trying to recruit her in the animated Justice League Dark movie, And she has this big show where she makes a bunch of elephants disappear. And he comes to see her and he's like, so how did you do it? How did you make the elephants disappear? And she's like, what makes you so certain that the elephants were even real in the first place, right? So, and in all magicians, like even Harry Houdini talks about this concept of magicians who do the stage performance of doing a trick are also the guardians of true magic, because there's a consent with the audience that this is a performance, right? This is a magic show. I'm not trying to convince you that I'm doing it for real, because then you'd try to burn me. Right? Houdini, yes, Harry Houdini, like, and the things like being able to do escape art, right? The water trap, even like you know what a good movie is for us to watch, you guys, together, is The Prestige with Wolverine and David Bowie as Tesla. Right? So there's a lot of cool stuff in that as well when it comes to like what is real magic, right? Because when you watch movies, right? I look, it's so funny. I went and rewatched Highlander the other day. Not the other day, it was a little while ago, but me and my sister and my best friend Laura were obsessed with Highlander growing up. Not the movies, but Highlander the show with Duncan MacLeod and the theme song from Queen. R.I.P. Freddie Mercury. His birthday's coming up too. I love that magic movie. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going with the read. I was going off on a tangent, but I need to actually get some of this down. Give a spell you can use in a fight. Oh, hold on. Nizf. It's like freeze. Freeze is Ezif, I think. Oh my gosh. I've been trying to work on my reverse talking, but I have to work on it. I also have a few magic spells that I'm practicing, right? So in D&D, not D&D, but I forget what fantasy novel it was where wizards, right? Like often if you're a wizard, like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings and stuff, they're very it's like overpowered, right? Same thing with Zatanna. So typically in the story, they're usually like forgetful, or like there has to be other plot points in the way so that you can't just end the story from the beginning, because that's not fun, right? The junk kicks. Okay, let's keep going. So Green Arrow went to go summon Hal Jordan as a scepter by going to the graveyard. So he says here, Hal says to him, a scepter all riled up, there are easier ways to contact me, Ollie. And he says, well, Hal, it's not like you gave me a signal watch or anything like that. And by the way, can you lose the costume? By the way, can you lose the costume? It kind of freaks me out. So you can see Hal's like in his scepter costume, and so he changes out of it. And he goes, is this better? And then Green Arrow says, the bomber jacket. Do you have any idea how dated your sense of style is? And Hal looks to him and says, you're talking to me about dated. And then he gives him a hug. He's like, oh, I've really missed you, pal. Oh, I miss stories like that. I love the bromance. I love the friendships. Because, I mean, I love the relationships and stories. Like, these are like super powered individuals, but like you relate to each other because, like, yeah. Oh, Pikachu, hey. And Ricardo, thank you for following. And to the junk kick spell, I will try to find that comic book, and then maybe we can reenact that. I hope the person who got kicked in the junk actually, because like, as I was saying before, wizards and magic users, oftentimes they are very overpowered. Like with just a word, I could freeze Batman, or with a word, I can wipe your memory, right? So typically there's other things that happen. So maybe Zatanna was like, oh no, I lost my voice, or like I couldn't speak, so I just needed to kick you. I gotta do something, right? All right, so Green Arrow has asked, the power is the debate. Yes. Okay. So why the visit? Sue's dead. they attacked Jean. You know who did it, didn't you? And then Hal gives this look of like, oh, I do. And then he looks back at him saying, I can't say, Ollie. But you know, don't you? You know who killed her. Ollie, please. You're the Spectre, Hal. You're supposed to punish the guilty. Isn't that what being the spirit of vengeance is all about? You don't understand, Ollie. I report to a higher power. I don't care who the hell you work for. Our friend is dead. They killed her, burned half her face off, and left her lying there like a doormat. And you know who did it. How can you not punish them? And then Hal says back to him, it is not up to me to decide. What? And he says back, because it's just one of those things too, like Supergirl can't save everybody. And Constantine loves to be like, well, I don't really want to be involved in anything, right? So it's one of those things where Hal does report to a higher power. So even though he's the scepter and he's supposed to be like this ghost of vengeance kind of situation, see here. People are murdered every day, Ollie. But I don't punish every murderer and I don't smother every child killer. Even if I wanted to. That is not the way this works. Yes, Ross, this will be up on YouTube later. This one will be in full because the story of this is, the whole point of me reading this is that in this story, in Identity Crisis, I want to get to that point too, actually. Let me just get to it. Because that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about because... Wally, as the Flash, has a conversation where... Oh, I'm not going to read that part. That part's so hard. Oh, here. Gotcha. I didn't realize it was so close to the end. And then we can go to the other part. So, I'm going to ask you guys a question about this in a sec. I'll just jump into it. When Dr. Light attacked Sue... we may have voted... Oh my gosh, here, I gotta go a little bit further. Because Wally asks, you can't keep anything away from the Flash, let's just say. Yeah, the kid ran all the way here. He's a worse liar than his uncle, right? Because remember, Barry in Crisis on Infinite Earths has passed, right? And so now we have Wally West, who's the new Flash. And so he's always compared, because Wally West is Barry's nephew, right? So, what are you really here for, Wally? Nothing. It's just... when we had that fight with Dr. Light and Deathstroke, and all Light's memories flooded back, I could see what he was seeing, like a picture in my brain. Anyway, when you first told me that story about how you voted to mind wipe Dr. Light that night... you said there were 7 of you. And then, I don't know what he says here. So, when Light went all supernova, that image he sent, well, Bruce was there. With Batman, that's 8. So, how come you didn't mention Batman the first time? Dun, 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 dun. Found the issue. It's Catwoman from 2008. Big fight. Okay, I will find it, Ross. Even maybe tomorrow I'll look for it. I'll source it and we'll read it. And maybe I'll get a Catwoman. I have a few Catwoman cosplay friends. We can have a little, we can reenact it. How fun would that be? Thanks for that tip. Okay, where are we here? So Wally's asking Ollie. The Flash is asking Green Arrow how come he lied about the story when they were mind wiping that Bruce/Batman was there. And then Green Arrow just gives this look And then Flash says, what? He was there, wasn't he? What happened, Ollie? What are you not saying? Fine, be stubborn. I'll just call Bruce and... You have to understand. I don't have to understand anything. Tell me what happened. Don't be flip, Wally. This isn't some schoolyard slap fight. When Dr. Light attacked Sue, we may have voted to wipe his mind. But that wasn't the only vote we took that night. Wait. Oh God, wait. You took Bruce's memories, didn't you? Wally, before you took Bruce's memories? We had to. Had to? Had to. You don't understand. I'm the fastest man alive. I've got all the time in the world. Make me understand. Like I told you before, Bruce and Clark were always there for the fight, but rarely there for the cleanup. Okay, I'm on my way now. And so now we've got a flashback to what happened that night, right? Okay, Jim, I'm on my way now. Ralph, you should really get Sue to the hospital. That night was no different. But because it was Sue, Bruce came back. And at that exact moment, it was all over. What are you doing? Bruce, you don't understand. He said you think you've seen him mad, and you've never seen him like this. Get off him. Get off him now. It was a tough night for all of us. He came at us in anger, and so we reacted with the same. No question, we panicked. And there's Zatanna. You can see her. Oh my gosh, hopefully I can do this. Namtab Potts. So, Batman stop in reverse. So she freezes him by doing that, right? But Carter had it right. With Bruce, the secret would never be safe. Bruce would never stand for it, not without his say-so. And you can see Canary being like, oh God. And then Hal's like, oh my gosh, let him go. What the hell are you thinking? It was a league within the league, just between the 7 of us. Hey, Austin, how's it going? Right? So I'm reading you guys Identity Crisis because I'm talking about the morality of magic, right? So from the perspective of, we're getting into it. Zatanna wipes Bruce Wayne's memory, wipes Batman's memory, because Batman is a very, he has his own code, right? And, oftentimes he can seem so harsh, but it's just one of those things where, he deals with the truth, and the truth does hurt, right? Oh, thank you so much. So let's continue going. So let's see here. So we got Zatanna here. This version of Zatanna looks very, sorceressy. And look at those boots. Maybe I'll get a version of her for that, like that. Okay, so it was a league within the league, just between the 7 of us. And right there, we took our second vote of the night. Don't you dare. Ollie, think for a second. This time, it was unanimous. The alternative would have meant the destruction of the league. It's just this moment. Just the past 10 minutes. So they're basically saying they just want to wipe the last 10 minutes of memory from Bruce's memory, because he wouldn't go along with wiping Dr. Light's memories, right? So it's kind of like this moral conundrum where, do you have the right to take people's memories from them if you had that psychic ability? If you've watched that movie Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, where Jim Carrey, you go through a harsh breakup, you're going through heartbreak. So maybe if I just wipe the whole relationship from my memory, then I won't feel this pain anymore. But we're supposed to feel certain things, right? Because that's how we are who we are. That's why you have those movies like Memento or other things where like you get a mind wipe or like you have amnesia and you don't remember who you are. Even in one of the Justice League Dark movies with Constantine, I won't get into the whole thing, but he basically says like everything in magic has a cost. You can't get something from nothing. And so when he does this magic spell, he uses all of the love that his friend has for him. And in doing so, that his friend loses all memory of like the relationship he has with Constantine. So yeah. So who did that to Bat? So Zatanna did that to Batman, but it was a vote by the Justice League. So within the Justice League, of course, Batman is known as being really like hard to work with. So for them to be able to do what they wanted to, which is like wiping Dr. Light's mind, they had to keep that from Batman. So that's why they lied to Flash, saying there was only 7 of them there, when really there was 8, because Batman was there. Batman is a diva. You know what? Green Arrow would agree with you. He didn't deserve that. Well, so we'll continue on. That's what happened. So Wally, the Flash, is now coming to this realization that this happened. And Wally, just like Barry, is a good man. Like, not saying that Bruce Wayne, Batman's not a good man. It's just like these different moral compasses for the different superheroes. It's just why you guys and me, we have different favorites. Because, it's really easy to say that you're going to do one thing or the other until you're placed in that same situation. And sometimes someone in the team has to make the hard decision. I know that from being a project manager. And, sometimes there is no right decision. There's only like the best wrong one. You know what I mean? So, but you still have to make a decision. You have to take a path, because no decision is also a decision, and oftentimes probably the worst one. So let's see here. Batman does need to get slapped. Yes. And Zatanna's cool for that, though, because she's not afraid of Batman, right? And Batman, like the relationship of the different characters with magic and how it's dealt with in the DC universe is cool too, though, I think. Let's continue. The alternative would have meant the destruction of the League. So they're trying to justify it here. They're like, well, it's just going to be the last 10 minutes. We're going to wipe Batman's memory for the last 10 minutes. And then someone's saying, if this hurts him, and although he doesn't want to believe it, some things are in fact bigger than Batman. I don't know if Batman thinks that, but And then after Ollie tells this story to Flash, Flash is like incredulous and just like, what the heck? I can't believe you guys did that. How could you do that? Trust me, Wally, we did not come to that decision easily. But in case you didn't notice, in some battles, both sides lose. You still walked away, Ollie. You let them do it. This is Batman we're talking about. You can't just do that to Batman. And then Green Arrow looks back at him seriously, saying, you think he hasn't done the same to us? And then Flash thinks about it. He's like, Batman would never do that. And Ollie says, okay, well, you believe what you want. And Flash is like, are you telling me that I'm wrong? Haven't you learned anything yet? Think about your own life, Wally. Everything you've done to keep your secret safe. You don't just wear that mask for yourself. It's for your wife, your parents, even for one day your children. There are animals out there, Wally. It's an insult to animals a little bit, and when it comes to family, we can't always be there to defend them. But the mask will. Ross, you're probably right. But Flash, he's a very sweet boy. He's like me. I'm like, Batman wouldn't do that. He's the good guy. Isn't he on our team? But, he's got his own way of doing things, Batman. So, it says here, the mask will. So we flip to here and we flash to Batman. So that's it. Bruce still has no idea. Believe me, Wally, the man's a detective. he always has an idea. And then so, even though Batman, yes, I am cosplaying Zatanna. Welcome. We're reading Identity Crisis. I was reading you guys the scene where Zatanna essentially wipes Bruce Wayne / Batman's memories. And they kept this like a secret within the League between Zatanna, Ollie, and a few other members. And of course, the Flash wasn't there. Flash wouldn't have been part of it. And so he was like, I can't believe you did that to Batman. I can't believe you did that to someone who's like a member of our own team, even though he's a pain in the ass, right? So what would you guys have done? Right? Like, did Batman, like Bella, I agree with you. I don't think Batman deserved that. And I think when I had my show with my friend who played Zatanna, we had that conversation of like, when you have that much power, the ability to even do something like that, like especially with like psychic abilities. Like I was watching something where Superboy and Miss Martian in Teen Titans had a breakup because Superboy didn't approve of the way Miss Martian was using her psychic powers, in the sense of like she like poked around in his brain and like removed memories where like he was upset. It's just like if you're in a relationship with someone and you like, let's say you cheated or you did something wrong and then you got into this big fight and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm just gonna remove that memory from you, and then it's like it never happened, right? The fight never happened. And so, but the point is that you need, like, that's the whole point of relationships. We're supposed to be able to like work through things. And I think the reason why this scenario happens is also because Batman is the type of person to like, even though you use magic on him, he's got the mind where like, even if you have amnesia, you know, like when you forget stuff and then it comes back to you, or like a dream where you're like, oh, it seems so clear, and then you like think about it, like, I don't remember what that was, and then 2 weeks later, like, wait a minute, I remember. So memory, this is a great way to bring back to the story I never told you guys at the beginning about Zeus and memory. So in Greek mythology, memory is represented by a goddess named, oh my gosh, it's like mnemonic, like Johnny Mnemonic, Mesevene. Anyways, there's a goddess of memory who's a titaness. The Titans are like Prometheus, Atlas. There's a few of them. And as I said, Zeus, king of the gods, loves all women all the time. So the story I wanted to really tell you is that Zeus and the goddess of memory, they're the parents of the muses, right? So there are 9 muses. Calliope, I don't remember all their names, but the muses, think of musician. So Mozart is in my story, and the muses favor him, and that's why he's able to be a conduit for such beautiful music. And so when we think of artists as being conduits and like that connection between heaven and earth, think of Zeus and lightning bolts, right? And that lightning bolt really being that bolt of inspiration. When you just have an idea hit your mind, or like a thought just hits you, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I almost forgot. So in the marriage of memory and divine inspiration, we have the muses. We have all the different types of art forms, all the different ways which all of us as artists, and a reimagining of what Renaissance looks like. Yeah. Oh yeah, God of War is pretty sweet. And I love Aries. Aries is so hot. So in Xena, Warrior Princess, I love that show. Every Saturday I would watch Sinbad, Hercules, and Xena. And the God of War in Xena, Warrior Princess, holy cow, so hot. He died though. He died very young, like in like 1993 or something. Very young. Aries is bae. I like him. You know, Aries is Venus's favorite lover, even though Zeus thinks she's too much of a distraction, and so he marries her to Hephaestus. But that doesn't do anything to stop her from being her. What an interesting goddess though, right? To be both the goddess of like love and marriage and like infidelity too, and affairs. So it's kind of interesting. Story about Troy though, before we continue. Like Helen of Troy, she's also supposed to be one of Zeus's daughters. I forget who the mom is, but anything with the Iliad, which is what, if you watch the movie Troy with Brad Pitt as Achilles and stuff, the reason why that whole thing even happened was because apparently there was this beauty competition between Hera, who's Zeus's wifey, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and of champions, and Aphrodite / Venus, goddess of love and beauty. So the three of them are like, we're gonna have this beauty competition. Who's the most beautiful? And they're asking Zeus this, and Zeus is like, well, I know better than to get involved in this stuff, because no matter what I choose, it's gonna be wrong. So let me get Paris. So Paris, of course, is from Troy. I'll get him to do the choosing of who the most fair, beautiful goddess is. So Paris, he's like, all right, I'll do it. Poor boy. So Hera is like, Paris, if you choose me as the most fair, most beautiful goddess, I offer you dominion over Europe. So kingship kind of thing. He's like, well, okay, sounds cool. And then Athena's like, I will offer you the greatest armor and fighting, like, to be a hero, basically, because Athena's like the goddess of champions. Like Odysseus, Achilles, they all venerate Athena. The helmet, right, all of that war strategy, she's like the goddess of war. So she offers, like, for Paris to be a great warrior if he chooses her. And Aphrodite, Miss Venus, she offers Paris the hand of the most beautiful woman in the world, which is Helen of Troy. So Paris, being the love machine that he is, he's like, all right, Aphrodite, I choose you. Like there was ever any doubt. She's the goddess of love and beauty. How could she not win? Now, thing about Venus, though, she did offer Paris the most beautiful woman in the world. But unfortunately for him, she was already married, right, to another king. So that's why he steals her away, Helen, and goes to Troy, and that's why the whole war ensues, right? Because King Agamemnon wants her back and blah, blah, blah. So, but I mean, like, for all things to fight over, suppose love would probably be the most likely. And it's interesting, too, with Zatanna. Zatanna's been romantically involved with quite a few DC characters, right? Including The Flash, including Batman, including Constantine, and Nightwing, and I forget, like, some aliens and other kind of stuff. I didn't know this. Oh, good. I'm glad that I got to enlighten you. So it just goes to show you that, like, how all these different stories are connected, and even, like, if we relate this to comic books, I'm gonna, oh my gosh, my mic is just like, I've had enough of you, Rachel. Bring this up a bit. All right. Okay, we're almost done, guys. I'm gonna wrap very soon. So I read you guys an Identity Crisis, that scene, which basically they're saying that Batman has an idea that his memory's been wiped. So I'm gonna have a more in-depth reading of this another time. We're gonna analyze all the different crises that have happened in DC, and we can do a little timeline mapping. We'll probably do that during Sunday superhero school on a later time. Oh my god. You know, I have to revisit Birds of Prey though again with Black Canary, because I'm gonna bring back Black Canary and read you guys from here. So this story is Infinite Crisis crossover, JLA, and it's called World Without a Justice League. Now, in this story, we deal, how did he get it back? She has done some knees too. Yes. She's all about the kicking. You gotta do whatever comes most natural to you, I find, in combat, right? Not that I've been in a lot of fights. I have been in physical fights before, though. You know, I am from Winnipeg. It's kind of rough in the club scene out there, you know, sometimes. One story I actually have was, so in Winnipeg, in some of the clubs, they had, like, a booty box. That's what we used to call it. You know, like, it's a place, like, near the DJ or, like, behind the DJ that was, like, elevated. So me and my girlfriends, of course, would always, like, be there and dance. So one night, we left all our purses, like, kind of together, and these chicks stole them from the booty box, and then we hunted them down and beats the crap out of them. So there's that. All right, I'm finishing up. So we basically are, I'm going to come back as Black Canary and read you guys this. Use a kick to the... I actually have never had to do that before, Ross. But you know, I can do a high kick. But the funny thing is, like, I've done like boxing classes, is that you want to like keep your guard up too, right? I used to just do the things like, well, I want to make it look super pretty. So sometimes the fancier looking kicks are not maybe the best course of action when you're actually trying to like fight. So just to show you this, this one, the illustration's a little different, but they do deal in here the ramifications of what happened when Batman got his mind wiped. Let's see here, and Donna Troy looks pretty cool in here too. Oh, look at her, she looks amazing. And then Supergirl offers her services, and then she takes off with Supergirl, right? And then Green Arrow's like, don't you want us to help too? And she's like, well, I just need the most powerful of you. The rest of you, whichever. No, I'm not. Can I do the squish sound? If I don't know what I did back, I have to revisit that, Ross. I'll bring it back just because that story, I don't think back then I did a great job of bringing it into the bigger universe, like with Oracle, because there's a Batgirl in that. I think that one is Stephanie Brown in that reading that I did. And I think also Dick Grayson's Batman in that. So I need to come back to that story and look at it again, because it also talks about the fact that Black Canary's mom is also Black Canary. So there's a lot of connection there between the character of Silk Scepter too. And Zatanna is an actually old character as well. So I should have clipped this. But the whole point of this story is that, I'm going to show you guys this. It's pretty neat. Is that the Justice League has like disbanded. Their whole reason for even wiping Batman's memory in the first place was kind of like, oh, we don't want the League to break up, so we need to make sure that Batman's checked. So I think Batman finds out whatever happened, that like they wiped his memory and whatever, and it says here, dedicated to ridding the world of crime ever since the brutal murder of his parents, billionaire Bruce Wayne dons the cape and cowl of the Dark Knight to battle evil from the shadows of Gotham City. But they're all kind of on their own, and also, let's see here, Black Canary and Ollie have broken up. We also do have in this story a character called Dawn, who Dawn and her shaman mate, Raven, are Apache from 3,000 years ago. She and Raven, not to be confused with the other Raven, right? She and Raven traveled to the present, but he had trouble adjusting to the new world, and their relationship grew strained. Subsequently, Raven died on a mission, and his mystic powers were passed on to Dawn, who had to learn to harness her new skills and the responsibility that comes with them. So she's a cool character. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, they bring a character called Dawnfire, who's kind of reminds me of this Dawn as well, where it's like this idea of like a shaman, and they bring up the concept of Manitou in here as well, which is crazy because I'm from Manitoba and Manitou is involved in my story, and Manitou translates into great spirit, so it's kind of cool. I remember Lady Blackhawk said, sorry for the rupture, and then squish. Is that when they're going to that strip club in the beginning and they're all like, we need to do a dove. I need a dove as well, cosplay. I love the Birds of Prey, by the way. Okay, so I'm just going to read you guys this part. Identity Crisis, Day of Vengeance, Ran Thanagar War, Books of Magic, Villains United, The OMAC Project, Crisis of Conscience. I did not read all of these. I only read the first one. All of these recent disasters have taken a drastic toll on the Justice League of America. The only team member to put together the fact that this series of seemingly random incidents may not be simple coincidence was John Johns, the Martian Manhunter. But then, the JLA's headquarters on the moon, the Watchtower, was mysteriously destroyed, presumably with the Manhunter still inside. These are the events that follow those tragic moments. So I will be reading you guys this story as Black Canary because there's a lot there with Black Canary and Green Arrow. Supergirl also makes a wonderful appearance in this, so maybe we can do something along the lines of that. But I wanted to, because Batman brings up Zatanna in here, and I wanted to read that part, and then we can wrap it. Let's see here. Gotham City. It's a cool shot too here of Black Canary, right? Like, what we basically have here is a demon who's one of the 7 deadly sins called envy, who comes and overtakes like a vessel. And it causes people to fight with each other. And enough is enough. Better resist it. Oh, I'll have to find it another time. But you see here, they start fighting each other, right? And then Black Canary actually steps in and like saves Batman from Oliver Queen, which is kind of funny. Let's see here. My brain feels like it's in a vice. The nosebleeds keep coming. All consistent with a concentrated telepathic assault, just like Wally thought. Just have to remember John's techniques. Keep my thoughts fluid. Move from memory to memory. Keep the brain active, like a moving target, to buy yourself time. So that's some good intel there. If you're facing a psychic attack, moving from memory to memory so that you don't end up in a stagnant place where like mind control can take you. Learning resilience. And then Ollie's getting all crazy here because he's being overtaken. You all think I'm a relic, replaceable, just a guy with a bow and arrow. Kind of a joke when others can move mountains, huh? Well, I'm no joke, because I'm the guy that brought Batman down. And so while he's trying to do that, Canary kicks him in the face and is like, what the hell are you doing? And Batman's like, oh, thank goodness. And the key released Green Arrow's inhibitions, Dinah, revealing to him what I always suspected, a small, petty little hedonist with a pathetically outdated Errol Flynn fixation. Oh, a fashion slam, how cutting. If only it weren't coming from a man in a mouse outfit. Grow up, the pair of you. I don't care who released what. There's a city full of people in agony who are depending on us right now. Well, no one ever cared about my needs. Oh, pity the poor city full of people. But what about me? What about my pain? That's when the demon chose to reveal himself to me. Oh, Amityville, thank you for the heart me. Yeah, she does do a kick, but there's no squish, Ross. Get out a little squish later. Squish, squish. Not out of concern, mind you. Get away from him, Dinah. That would be too much to ask. I won't let you take Ollie away from me. Dawn? So now they're fighting with each other. Because it's bringing out all the, what do you want to call it? The worst in people, if you're envious and all that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Oh, here. I'll just read you guys this and we'll end it. Even in that other comic book I read before, Ross, Dinah and Bruce actually work together. Like Black Canary and Bruce Wayne, they do actually get along. They do have kind of like a similar, I don't want to say like moral code, but they're willing to do certain things that like oftentimes other heroes or other characters on the team are not, right? Someone's got to do it. All right. I was obviously at my rope's end. Not that it mattered to them. We've got to take him down fast. Canary, use your sonic scream. But his power will recharge, Dinah. Do it. Now. Yee! Scree! And he bashes him in the head there. And I'll take care of the rest. That's right. You set it up. I'll take him down. And so Batman's like, I'll take care of the rest. And then Dinah says, all right, that is enough. He's not Zatanna, Batman. And Batman says, what did you say? You heard me. Don't even try to pull your usual denial routine. Well, believe what you want. All that matters is that the key is going to go back to Arkham to pay for his crimes. So he wants him to go back to Arkham. So I'm going to leave that there for now because I wanted to, that was the main thing I was talking to you guys about, like the ethics of magic. And, you know, many of our heroes in our comic books have had made questionable decisions when it comes to fighting crime, right? Like, for example, Miss Martian, to get certain information out of like a bad guy, she like catatizes, like she makes him catatonic, like basically like gets the information out but also fries his brain. And this is what causes Superboy to be like, yeah, this is why we're broken up, because you can't do that. And so, but she's like, but he's the bad guy, right? But if, you know, that saying of like, when fighting monsters, just be aware that you don't become a monster yourself. Or like, when staring into the abyss, the abyss stares back at you. And so when dealing with things like power and magic and all this kind of stuff, is that to just be aware of your own heart, your inner compass, and like humanity, right? In D&D, right, you have like different alignments, you know, like evil and good and like chaotic and orderly. But human beings are neutral, right? We have the ability, the consciousness to be able to choose what to do in the scenario itself, right? And so just because you are a good character or a bad character, you're only as good as your last encounter, your last decision. And what have you done for me lately? So I'm actually working on a Janet Jackson I Get So Lonely dance with Zatanna with the hat, right? Because I get so lonely. And we can do it with Constantine. We'll see. All right, guys, thank you for joining me for this read of Identity Crisis. I'm going to do a bit more of a polished read as it comes to the ethics of magic. So you can get this replay on my YouTube, as well as coming up, we have a few, I'm going to call them the Cosmic Comic Book Club analysis sessions, where we go through like Crisis on Infinite Earth, Identity Crisis, Infinite Crisis, all the crises bunched together. Threatened to kick a guy before leaving. Do you want me to do it in backwards? I have to work on that in terms of a script. Like, if you don't back off, I'm gonna kick you in the junk. Kind of thing. I did not stretch, so I'm not gonna do that. And I'm 40 years old, so I need to actually stretch before doing high kicks these days. Backwards or forwards? All right, guys, I'm going to just leave you now. I wanted to actually be able to be up tomorrow, too, to do some Jean Grey stuff. I was planning on having an Eva Foam, like, headpiece ready by then, but unfortunately won't be able to. Hal in the Junk by Z. But I also found out that, like, I didn't know that Hal Jordan became Scepter. I have to look into, like, what happened there. So, like, does he come back to life after that's done? That kind of thing. Yeah. I am. I sure am. And I'm pretty happy about it, actually. Azrael, great name too, by the way. I'm glad you found it informative. And because what I try to do in these lives is basically just share stories, because I received intel in a very deep magic mushroom journey a long time ago. No, not a long time ago, but long enough now, which basically just said that stories are the currency of the universe, right? It's just like, at the end of the day, when this life is all said and done, you're going to say, like, what a ride. And I hope that you have some fantastic stories to share, right? Because you can't take all the things and all the stuff with you, right? So I welcome you guys to just like harness the beauty of being alive at this very moment in time space, right? And so thanks for sharing your Sunday evening with me. Happy eclipse. We had that big full moon lunar eclipse. So for the next 48 hours, like this day, tomorrow, it's going to be really potent emotional energy. Can I repeat this? No, I'm not going to repeat the threat. So let me do it properly, though, because I've been looking back at like my editing stuff, and when you do post-production, I'm just like, oh, I should have just got some extra shots so this wouldn't be such a pain in the ass to edit. So let me come back as Zatanna and do that proper when I actually have my full outfit and I can do a proper kick. So, and it won't be like a comic book read where it's like before bed and, sleeping time. So you guys, I have not read Childhood's End yet, but I've heard about it and I've seen it, but I haven't read it. And remember what I told you guys and what Joss Whedon said even about at the intro of Infinity Crisis, which is that oh, no worries, I'll have a replay. And tomorrow my schedule's been I've pretty much have set it for September. So the way it's gonna go going forward is Sunday is Supergirl Sunday in the day. And then the evening time read will be something that's related to what we talk about in terms of superhero school. So as I said, Zatanna's like magical backup. So we talked about magic and some clips, that kind of thing. Mondays, I'm going to keep as like Marvel Mondays. So it'll be like a Marvel cosplay. So tomorrow's Jean Grey. My Tuesdays and Thursdays, if you want to get an energy or astrology reading, those are the days that I do them. The replay I'm going to have uploaded tomorrow. So I'll probably have this replay will be available by midnight on Monday. So like between Monday and Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, I'll be doing my first episode of my new podcast, which I'm renaming The Bohemian Revolution from Truth, Beauty, Freedom, Love Show, because guests, like, it's too hard to say that each time and host that. So if you want to be a guest on that, I'll have some stuff available on that. And then Wednesdays are going to be Warrior Class Wednesdays. So we're going to pick like Chun-Li or any of like the fun warrior goddesses that I love and talk about things about like health, nutrition, fitness, all that kind of fun stuff on Wednesdays. And then all the comic book reads, I'm going to have them, the late ones like this, I've realized I can't do 2 in a row. It's too hard. I have to like take a nap tomorrow, right? So then it's hard to me to do it again on Monday night. So the next time I'll be live reading you guys a comic book will be Tuesday night. So Tuesday at midnight. Oh, love. Thanks, Ross. And I appreciate that you for sticking around as I've become hopefully better at comic book reading and getting into character and learning more about these heroines that have truly inspired me. And Money One, I have most of them on my TikTok. I also have another channel called Cosplay and Comic Books, and all of the unlisted comic book reads, which are like these full out readings, which usually the algorithm gets mad at me for because like the comic book dialogue triggers the censors. Those are all on like my Ko-Fi. I'm going to have available on Ko-Fi and on Patreon for those. So, thank you so much. So right back at you, right? Because we are all amplifiers of each other, right? All right, guys, thank you for joining me as Zatanna, your Mistress of Magic. And remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So remember to play as exactly you. Bye, gone bitch. Until next time, remember, the universe is counting on you, but I have your back. Until next time, guys. Bye.